Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about Hershey and Blanchard's situational leadership model. Some general background information. So this model asserts that no leadership style is better than another, but managers should adapt their tactics to match their followers' maturity levels. The application of this is simply to choose the right leadership approach for any given situation. This theory says that leaders need to be flexible and base their tactics on each follower's needs. The variables that influence this model are task behavior, or the amount of guidance and direction given by the leader. Also, the relationship behavior, what kind of socio-emotional support is provided. Finally, the maturity level, which is the readiness to complete tasks. There's two types of maturities that are talked about here, job and psychological. For job, it's the ability to complete tasks, and psychological is the willingness. So jumping into the leadership styles, the first is telling, which coincides with a very low maturity level. This requires a heavy directive from leader and clear, specific outlines and objectives are needed to be given, because too much support will lead to the leader being perceived as permissive or easy, and it only supports bad behavior. Finally, not finally, secondly, the selling style coincides with a low to moderate maturity. With this one, some directive is given, but it's mainly a supportive relationship. The leaders try to make the followers psychologically buy into their tactics. And most instruction is given by the leader, but there's also two-way communication and reasoning involved. These people who respond best to the selling style are usually unable to complete tasks due to a lack of the competence in a specific area, but are very willing. So this encourages their enthusiasm for their work. The third, participating style, coincides with a moderate to high maturity level. These folks are able but unwilling to complete tasks, usually as a result of lack of confidence, but also could be a motivational issue. Two-way communication is the best way to approach this with active listening. This supports their efforts to use their abilities. And shared decision-making is big here, where the leader acts as facilitator in these discussions. Finally, the delegating style coincides with the highest mature group, who are able and willing, if not confident in their abilities. Here, the leader facilitates shared decision-making and gives little direction or support or socio-emotional support to their followers. They may identify the problem, but it's ultimately the follower's responsibility to come up with the solution and to carry out the plan. The basics of this model assume that the leader's power is determined by the followers' perceptions of them and their behaviors. So low maturity levels require a more direct telling style, while highly mature workers thrive under autonomous, high responsibility and independent situations. Here is the prescriptive bell curve that Blanchard and Hershey have come up with. This tells you how to choose which style to use in any given situation based on the level of maturity and task and relationship behavior. So you can see in the first quadrant, this is the delegating style, which coincides with the highest level of maturity for followers, where there's low relationships between leaders and followers, and also low guidance. As relationship behavior and task behavior increase, you go through the four quadrants, where it ends with telling, which is the first style, coinciding with a very low maturity level. So selecting the best leadership style for a situation, they propose 3 steps. first being you have to decide what aspect of a person's job as a leader you want to influence. And then from there, you assess their abilities and motivation, which is maturity of the subject. Finally, you have to decide which of the four leadership styles to implement based on that bell curve. So this application of this into real life experiences is very smooth. All you need to do is to assess the maturity level of your group and then behave as the bell curve prescribes. This model also stresses that leaders need to help their followers grow in maturity by slowly decreasing their control and relationship behavior as their followers' competence and willingness increases. Also, there is a slight maturity cap here where very mature workers require lots of autonomy and low socio-emotional support. That is all. Thank you so much for listening.